Okay, everybody, here we go. So, I want to talk about word problems. So, word problems are for some people the hardest thing to do in math. It's also the thing that so many people fear the most in math, and I don't want that to be the case anymore. One of the biggest reasons people struggle with word problems is because they don't know how to record things. And their math is not clear. It's kind of a hodgepodge of things, and all the words clutter things up so much that it's so hard to figure out what we're actually trying to solve. So, this week's lessons are all about practicing Mr. Paul's Big Four. Now, this isn't just coming from me, this is after many years of talking to high school math teachers. This comes from my experience in university math. We are going to set the bar fairly high. Now, when I say fairly high, word problems for me are going to be that's the wrong pen, are going to be out of four. Okay, so there are four things, and for the first little while, when I start to mark them in a couple of weeks, that's right, this is practice. This is for you to master the skill. So when we come back to these, you don't have to think about it. Each one of these four pieces is out of four. So the best thing about this is that when you get comfortable with it, you're never going to have to learn it again, because this is going to serve you through junior high, all the way through high school, and into university. And here's the cool thing. When your math is organized and tidy and follows this almost like a science lab report, it's going to follow these steps. Your teachers are going to actually reward you with more marks, because when we don't have to search around for your answers or to see where you've made mistakes or to figure out how you're thinking through things, you get rewarded for that. Okay? That's why people like Einstein and Tesla, when you look at their actual mathematical notation, it is a thing of beauty. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the four steps. You may want to take notes on this. You may want to have this on a little index card for whenever you do it. This is a tool, just like BEDMAS was. Remember that B, E, D, M as they occur from left to right, A, S as they occur to left to right. This is not a set of rules, it is a tool. Okay, now this tool isn't quite as compact yet, but I'm working on it. So, four things that I'm looking for when you're solving word problems. And a lot of you are going to fight me on this for the next, well, probably the next year, but I'm not giving up on you. Okay. I've worked with many grade 9 students going into high school even, and this is what I work with them on. And I tell you, it works. So, first thing, the very first, what I got here, number one, when you're reading a word problem, what I'm going to recommend you do is you read it through twice before you start writing anything down. So the very first thing I want you to start to consider is, what are the knowns and what are the unknowns? The other thing you might want to do here is anything you might need, so any other information, info needed. So this could be a formula, this could be, in some cases, not for the next couple of days, but in other things, this could even be a diagram. Okay. For those of you who are very science-minded, your knowns and unknowns are also called your variables. So this is the information that the people writing the word problem are giving you. Now, let's face it, originally back in the 30s and 40s, I have some of those math textbooks. Word problems were actually designed to help people become better farmers and to think about their world from perspective of, I have this much land, how many cows can I raise on it? Now, word problems are a way to force you to think and to distill, to simplify. There's that word again, simplify. We simplify things down till we're just dealing with numbers. So the first one is the knowns and the unknowns, maybe a diagram. I highly recommend the diagram. Number two, this is going to be our formulas, if we have any, formulas. Please forgive my spelling here. Formulas. It's also going to be your solutions. So this is where we do our math. Okay, this is where we do our mathing. It's 5 plus 3. 5 plus 3 equals 8. That's going to go in the next chunk. Now, the third one is a little bit interesting because the third one is actually going to be your answer. Okay, and this is how I'd like it written. I would like it in a box. Okay, so let's say the answer, let's say over here we have 5 plus 3 equals 8. Okay, over here, and let's say we're dealing with degrees. So let's say this is degrees Celsius. I'm going to put 8 degrees Celsius, and I'm going to put it into a little box, okay, on the right-hand side. If you have a highlighter, this is a good time to actually use it. Okay, if you don't want to use a highlighter, that's fine, not a big deal. And the last one is number 4. This is the one that students like the least, but it is very important because what we're going to do here is we're going to write la 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 la. Then we're going to write 8 degrees Celsius. So what is that? This is our sentence. In a word problem, they'll ask questions such as, what is the final temperature at 12 o'clock? In general conversation, if I were to ask someone in the class, how many things did you do this summer? By answering that question with the number 5, that's not proper grammar, right? So if someone asks you a question, it's convention to state the question again in the form of your answer. So let's say for this question here, the final question was, what is the final temperature at 8 o'clock? Number 4, your sentence would read, the final temperature at 8 o'clock is 8 degrees Celsius. Now, I want you to pay very close attention to this. Okay, this little thing here, this is called a unit measure. Unit measure. In these last 2 columns, in the 3 and the 4, you must include your unit measure. Very seldomly do we actually put our unit measure when we're doing the formulas. Okay, as you get older and you get in more advanced math, that will happen. So why do we have this layout? I'm going to show you down here. Okay, this video will be up on D2L as well. So here is my page. So if you don't have enough room on the worksheets, I would really encourage you to do this on a separate piece of paper. So if you imagine me splitting this up into kind of like 3 columns, don't actually split it up, okay? Just kind of pretend those columns are there. This first here is going to be my variables. I'm going to do all my little planning. Maybe I've got a little diagram of something in here. Okay, the next one is going to be my math. So this is like 5 plus 3 equals 8. Maybe I've got another one that's 8 times 2 equals 16. This is my math. Okay, and over here, let's say I have to do 8 plus 16 gives me, ooh, that's a tough one, 22. Is that right? 22. Over here, I'm going to have my box. That's going to have my 22, say it's meters. And then they're going to have this little sentence with 22 meters in it. Okay, now I should be able as a math teacher to look at your work and see this. Okay, variables, maybe I have a sea level diagram here where I have a whole bunch of numbers in here. Okay, here's my math, so my algorithms, I'm going to have a box and I'm going to have a notation. Okay, and for those of you who like fancy colors, this is the only thing you should really be highlighting in your answers. Do you see how quickly I can go through your work like this? It is honestly, it is a joy to mark math that is done this way. And up till about grade 6, like grade 5, most teachers are pretty lenient in how you solve word problems. I'm not. This is worth 1 mark. Are you identifying your variables? Let's do it in red because that's the color of marking. Are you doing the math properly? Did you get the right answer? And did you write your sentence? So here, let's say you just write down the answer as 22 meters. You just got 1 out of 4. That is 25%. That will be your mark. Right? The way you think and the way you work through these things are just as important as getting the answer. I worked with a big group of grade 9s this year, moving into high school, and I had many students who it took them probably 3 or 4 weeks of a 6-week course of fighting me on this, and their marks reflected it. So learn this now. Every word problem you do today and tomorrow and this week and from now on has 4 sections. So what I want to do next is I want to show you what this looks like in an example. So Another quick tip, remember, we're going to read this thing through twice. Why? Because the first time just gives us the idea. So this says there are 390 students at a school. If each classroom holds 30 students, how many classrooms are needed at the school? So really what we want to do here is we want to distill this down. I'm a big fan of underlining and highlighting. So first thing I need to know is the first number is 390. I can't actually underline on this, so I'll just have to write it down here. So first piece of information, right, we're working on number one, is I have 390 students. Try and make these really short. Don't make them long-winded. Each classroom holds 30 students. So I can get 30 students, that slash means per classroom. Now I would also underline how many classrooms are needed at the school. So this is my number of classrooms. Equals, do we know it? No, it's an unknown. Okay. Now in the next section, remember, that's my first section, done. Don't need to draw a picture on this one. So I know I'm going to need to take the number of students, which is 390, and I'm going to divide that by how many students are in each classroom. So that's going to give me, well, 3 goes into 300 once, 3 goes into 13. It's going to give me 13. Okay, so there's my math. And these questions are going to be pretty short. Normally you're going to have some more math here. Let's say it's an order of ops problem. So your math goes in the middle. Now, last thing I'm going to do you remember? I'm going to write 13 classrooms. Now, this one's a little bit weird because classrooms is my unit measure. This is what tells me what I have 13 of. Okay, and finally, my last thing. How many classrooms? They need 13 classrooms. Perfect. What have I got? I got 1. I've got 2. I've got 3. Shook. And I have 4. These sentences do not have to be long-winded. Keep them short, please. Okay. Same thing over here. You'll notice on this side that I'm taking up a small amount of space there. So before I leave you, hopefully that makes sense. Again, some of you are going to really fight me on this, but that's okay. I'm going to write a really quick word problem here. I'm going to say it out loud. So the temperature in the morning when John woke up was 12 degrees Celsius. So watch this. Temperature, initial. Initial is the starting temperature. Chances are we're going to be dealing with temperature if that's what they're giving us. So John wakes up, it was 12 degrees Celsius. Unit measure, use it. The temperature dropped 5 degrees by 12 o'clock. So here, what I would do, and you can do it differently, I would go that dropped 5 degrees Celsius. For those of you who are really good with integers and are feeling strong, you could also write minus 5 degrees Celsius. Now, the question in this one would say something like, what is the temperature at 12 o'clock? So watch. We can go temperature again. Wrong pen. My apologies. Temperature, final, equals, I don't know yet. So here I've identified, see, I've identified all of the pieces of information in the problem. Please don't highlight it yellow. I'm just doing that so you can see it. How would I solve this? Well, I would go 12 minus 5. 12 minus 5 is going to be 7. Okay, again, these are pretty basic, so sometimes we're going to have more math. Keep it all in the same spot. Over here, I'm going to go 7. What am I missing? I know, I'm not there, but you can say it. Degrees Celsius. That's right. Put it in a box. So, final. The temperature at 12 o'clock is 7 degrees Celsius. Always with the unit measure. All right. Hopefully that makes sense. I'll post this and I can answer any of your questions in private discussions. Thank you, everybody, and I look forward to seeing you soon. Be meticulous. Okay? Don't cheat it. Don't miss any steps. 4 steps. Okay? Thank you so much. I will stop this recording.